So like I know from what Kyle's told me that like everyone in prison knows what your charges are eventually. And like obviously if you're a pedophile, you're going to get hazed and probably get put in some separate area. How did prisoners respond to your conviction? Like, did they even get what you were there for?
They typically responded with hilarity. Most of the inmates in there were at least young enough or had been free recently enough to know about online games, even if they'd never played them. Mm-hmm. And I was typically met with, man, my son be doing that on Call of Duty. He'd be talking all that shit. And I'd tell him, you know, you got to watch your mouth. Holy shit, you went to prison for this? Like, are you kidding me? And then I'd show them, and I got the paperwork transmitting threats to destroy buildings by means of fire and explosives. They thought it was hilarious. They thought it was an absolute what the fuck case, and they did not need any more justification in their mind to know that the FBI was corrupt from the ground up. But my case was definitely a nail in the coffin as far as perception goes. Not that being in prison hating the FBI does you any good. It doesn't do you a damn bit of good, you know, to know that they're crooked and corrupt. It doesn't help anything. Most people just thought it was hilarious. The guards thought it was really stupid. Even when I originally got to county jail in my hometown, they thought it was absurd that I was still in there 8 months, 10 months, a year later. You know, they're like, this is crazy. I didn't have any weapons in my home, no BB guns, no drawings, no money, no guns, no butcher knife, like pocket knives, nothing at all. So they just thought it was kind of hilarious.
It seems like a little bit of an icebreaker almost with some guys where they ask, what are you in for? And you're like, you're not going to believe it. And then you're like, I guarantee they've probably heard every story in the book up and down, but yours is truly unique.
Everybody starts with, you won't believe it, it's some bullshit, but mine actually was definitely some real bullshit.
Did you ever have to like fake agreeing with bullshit where some guy's like, yeah, they caught me molesting a 9-year-old for the 5th time, and you know, it's bullshit, and like none of that. I guess that's a bad example because you wouldn't want to publicly be seen as like giving any sort of credence to a rapist.
Right.
But I'm sure there were lots of guys who were like, I didn't kill that guy. He killed himself.
A lot of time. No, I didn't hear anybody
the opposite was more likely innocence. In my case. I had people admitting crimes to me, which I didn't care for.
They need to be careful with that too, because you know snitches are get on their ass in a heartbeat.
I didn't need to know any of those things.
They'll just offer you some time cut information. Damn it, they don't care at all.
I know some awful things.
I know of a guy who actually did get convicted from a prison snitch because he was telling a story about how one time he flew a plane to Mexico, got 800 X pills, and came back. He told the story in prison, and they used it against him, prosecuted him successfully for him telling a story. And he gave enough details to where it was considered legitimate. No proof that it ever happened.
That's a story you got to keep under your hat anyway.
Yeah,
like, don't even tell that. Why?
You don't have to brag about that to inmates that want to get out of prison. You know, that can contact prosecutors and get time cuts. Largely, my case was just met with laughter. It's going to sound crazy, but especially at the medium high security, 6 years is kind of considered a slap on the wrist with the FBI. Most of the people that I was around had at least a quarter century on their plate, either already served or to serve remaining. So the 6 was just kind of like a ha-ha, they really showed you. That's kind of almost like getting probation at the places where I was at.
Were most of the life guys you came into contact with similar to the clean freaks you were talking about, where they like resigned themselves to their situation? They were trying to make it as good as possible?
I think very much to a certain extent, but I also have to say that, and I've talked about this before, I think on my channel or in another podcast, is that the dudes have somewhere inside of them a mustard seed size grain of hope. And as depressing as it might be to consider like the realistic, you know, like there is no hope. You know, like I was like that with a very famous guy, the Black Hand of Death, Clarence Heatley. He's got documentaries. He's got an episode of Gangland about him and stuff like that. And he's doing life plus 255 years. He's not fucking getting out. He kidnapped Bobby Brown. He was directly linked to like 11 murders. He's never getting out of prison. That man wakes up every day and he grabs that damn floor buffer that Kyle was talking about. And he puts on his pressed and ironed khakis. And he gets out there and he buffs that floor and he sings the Chicago blues every day, man. And somewhere in his heart, if you ask him and talk to him about it, he thinks he's going to get out one day. I don't think that anybody serving life truly in their heart of hearts thinks that they're really going to do it, because I just feel like they wouldn't be able to get up anymore. Every single one of them has a plan or a scheme or a motion or a 2255, you know.
Thinking.
Yeah. Kyle, did you ever tell anybody about your momentum on YouTube while you were locked up?
No, not really. I think I like sort of explained to Snow once, like what I did for a living, like the basics of it. But no, not to any real extent.
So people weren't in there like, yo, it's FPSRussia?
A couple, mostly guards. Mostly guards were. But and then one of the inmates knew who I was. He was like related to a celebrity. I can't remember who it was. It's that black. Who's the big black guy who's in the Old Spice commercials?
Terry Crews.
No. Yeah. He was like that guy's like fucking cousin by marriage or some shit.
Claim to fame.
Yeah.